Government shutdown next week, maybe, but also I want to talk about American bankruptcy, plus the big economic pivot that I told you about a couple months ago, and how we're all in it right now. You see it in the bleeding in the stock market, you see it in the conversations around you at the coffee shop. Everything is pivoted. So we're going to take a look at the big economic pivot 2.0. Plus I want to explain to you why and when the American banks are going to impose the CBDC on all of us and how they're going to do it and what it means for you. And there's a surprising nation that has started dumping American debt, and it's not just that they're doing it, it's that they might encourage other nations to do the same, which could be a problem. Please click like on this video. Very humbly I ask you that, because it really helps us get our message out to more people like you and I. Now, about the big economic pivot, one thing I said, and that video came out on January 8th and a couple of months ago. So I took some of, it was a 35-minute long video. It was too long, so I try to keep them short when I can. I picked out a couple slices that most people might not have seen because it was such a long video. Not a lot of people watched all the way to the end. The majority did, actually, on that one. So I'm just going to quickly intersperse these throughout the rest of the video. Really quick short clips like this one. And with all these multiple years of a strong stock market, even though the economy went the exact opposite way the whole time, we're seeing dramatic complacency among investors, which is a major warning sign. And we're maybe going to have a government shutdown again next week, and I tell you, they're just going to keep having this happen. Plus the debt ceiling debate. That's two different things, but they're like cousins. You're going to keep having these problems until they fix the problem, which I've told you ad nauseum about, so I'm not going to get into that. But this all leads us up into the big economic pivot. The chart of the NASDAQ, you can see it broke above 20,000 a couple of times, but now it's starting to hit a ceiling here. And if it tests and falls back from the ceiling 2-3 times, that's when you know that that's going to be the market top. The U.S. budget deficit for February was over $1 trillion. So that's just another example of a declining economy. How did America go bankrupt? Slowly at first, and then quickly all at once. If America was a stock and I was analyzing it, I would say they are going bankrupt, no question. But the government has the ability to use the printing press and just create enough money to cover any debt, so we could technically never go bankrupt. We could never have to default, even though we are going to and we have in the past. But there's a cost to all of this money creation. And that cost is you losing purchasing power of the dollars you have in your pocket. You have $200, you feel pretty good, you got $200, and all of a sudden they're just worth still $200, but you can't buy as much with it. At that time when the fear starts to show up again, that's when everybody goes risk off. You start looking at things like precious metals, real money, or you get US Treasury bonds, or you get out of the really high-flying Magnificent Seven stocks and all the other ones do, like I've been telling you to do for quite a while. And this was my favorite recent image one of you guys sent in. This is from Fernando. And the title or the caption on the email was, "You called it." And I love this because it's a picture that tells a story in 1,000 words. And 2 months ago is when I did the economic pivot video. But even before that, I was telling you guys, do not get into these Magnificent Seven stocks. They're not done declining. And this is all going to go the same way that the stock market has gone every single time in history, when certain things like the Buffett indicator go to the heights that it's at, or the Q ratio goes above 1.0. Every time thereafter, there's the response to the overvaluation. Now you get to see it firsthand. And remember that even when the stock market's coming down, it's a big bear market perhaps, there's a lot of aggressive and violent upward spikes and rallies. There's really big rallies in a bear market. Expect a few of those coming up pretty soon. But right now the uncertainty is the name of the game, or the biggest issue. The tariff uncertainty specifically. And I know that a lot of you said, well, isn't the US dollar going to decline in value? And I say that it is. In 2025, it's going to come down a lot, which will mean that things like precious metals, anything you buy with US dollars, commodities, will cost more. And until the uncertainty starts clearing up, we're going to have some issues. And this actually plays into one of the countries that is surprisingly selling American debt. American debt is owed mostly to American citizens, and then to, I think it's Japan now, more than China. China dropped down because they're selling too, buying less. Both China and Japan. But now another big creditor, Canada, has stated that they're going to be releasing a bunch of American debt, an undisclosed amount. And the problem, it's not a problem, well, it is a problem, but the issue, the most important issue is that not that they're doing it, that they're doing it and other nations who are also being tariffed by us are then maybe going to say, yeah, we'll do that too. That's a good idea, because there's a lot of nations that kind of working together. They're all targeting certain identical states and industries because it's almost like we are the aggressor in a lot of this, and I think that's the way that a lot of nations are seeing it, and they're kind of working together, not in our best interest. It's going to get worked out. I'm sure everything's going to work out fine. Things are the craziest when there's the most uncertainty, and that's right now. But if you look at this chart, and I'm going to tell you this again, what apparently is clearly obvious that most people don't understand, including economists for some reason, which blows my mind, the recession will start typically. The gray areas on this chart are recessions, the line is the interest rate, and when interest rates start to fall, the recession typically begins then. Like here, and here, and here, and here, and here. And Johnny was asking about the US dollar and digital currencies and digitizing gold and a few things. And I just want to show you quickly a couple of points I gave in my response to him. And also, just before I do that, I want to tell you about what happens to the CBDC when the internet goes down, when the power goes out. And the same can be said for a lot of cryptocurrencies too. And I know you can have your cryptocurrencies in your pocket and you're fine and it doesn't matter, but you still can't connect to the internet to then spend it or convert it. But the point is, recently, there's only two ways that we get internet around the world like we do: satellites and undersea cables. And recently, I told you about how there's many countries right now that know how to take out and disrupt the whole satellite system, shut down our internet, which has follow-on effects that involve military things, healthcare, money moving around the world, guidance systems for missiles. Everything is related, obviously, to the internet. And there's undersea cables, and it was not long ago, it's very recently, that a couple of them got cut. There's one spot where the two big undersea cables sort of cross in Europe, and it feeds all the internet into Europe. And it was cut by a boat dragging its anchor, quote unquote. And it was a nefarious kind of setup. I forget if it was like a Russian crew on a Chinese boat or a Chinese crew on a whatever. It was obviously clearly done on purpose, especially where they dragged the anchor, because it was affecting two lines instead of one. That's a very specific spot. But what happens when the recession starts? Historically, that's when unemployment really starts to get going higher. Right now, there's a lot of layoffs that haven't been fully absorbed into the numbers yet. There's more to come. But the majority of layoffs will happen once the recession starts, and that's going to spike the unemployment rate over 5% for sure. But I predict it'll hit double digits in not too long of a time. It's just a consideration. If you go to a CBDC, what happens when the power goes out, the internet goes down? Just saying. Because any modern war, a serious modern war, immediately means satellites are gone. Undersea cables are gone immediately. Like, you will know that a war is broken out, like a real war, World War III, when you think that you got to call your cable provider. It just will be gone. And everything that means, and you don't even know, and I don't even know how many tens of thousands of effects that would have. The general population is confusing unpayable debt loads and monetary creation for economic strength. And that's why you're seeing all these debt ceiling antics. And I keep telling you every time, when they say, oh my gosh, we ran out of money, we got to close down the government, we got to raise the debt ceiling. And every time I laugh and I tell you, it's not done. This isn't the last time. But in my email response to Johnny, I said, Johnny, it's like this. Number one, the US dollar becomes a digital crypto, the CBDC. And every transaction you do through a bank will only give you back CBDC, even if you paid or deposited dollars into your account. And they could also just convert it all. Any money in your account can just be converted. The banks do whatever they're told to do. The banks are not independent. They work or exist at the pleasure of the government. There's so many rules that they have to follow. The end. Which is the way it should be. It has to be that way. Oh, you said gold's going so much higher and it only went up to $1,900? That's what I tell you. I go, just wait. We're not done yet. Just wait. Are we done yet with gold prices, for example? Not even close. But the point is, once stocks crash, or barring a crash, they start to correct, what that does is it hurts the wealth effect, which also plays into real estate, which will start bringing real estate values down finally. And also then you'll see things like Bitcoin, which is long-term, sure, it's going to do great. Short-term, there's a lot of risk here because that's a risk-off trade. It's going to wipe out a bunch of value of cryptocurrencies. And number two, the CBDC means that they can tax you, they can track you, they can control you, they can manipulate you, they can impose any interest rates or bail-ins or penalties that they want. They can say, you didn't pay all your taxes, you owe another 6,000 units in tax. And they take it, and you're like, I don't though, you're making a mistake. Good luck, everybody. Investors are confusing a bull market for brains. People in general, the general population, is also confusing unpayable debt loads and creating new money to pay for things for a strong economy. You've been told the economy is strong. The stock market went up, unemployment rate's low, so I guess we're all good, right? And this is what I'm saying about how they're going to get it started. They're going to do something with it that you say, wow, that is really cool. I like the CBDC. It's great. It's convenient. You got a drinking and driving strike on your record. You go into the beer store to buy beer and it costs you more or you're not allowed to. And for the record, I completely agree with that use of the CBDC. People will embrace the CBDC. They'll love it. It does such great things. And any politician will have complete control out of the entire population and relegate every single person just to a digit of, here's our total population. That's another digit of population. You lose all autonomy, you lose all freedom, you lose a lot if they have the CBDC. And it just needs a politician to say, you dangle it out there and say, do you want total power over your entire population instantly? You just hold it out there. And it's a matter of whether or not the politician takes it or not. There will be, and maybe not this one, maybe not next one, maybe not the one after that, there will be a politician who says, you know what? I'm going to squeeze the people and I'm going to use the CBDC to do it. And there's really not much you can do. Once we've fully pivoted, there's going to be dropping stock market prices, margin calls, dropping real estate prices, falling Bitcoin prices, decreases in your quality of life, bankruptcies, defaults, rising sin industries such as alcohol, gambling, drugs, and even greater financial hardship by far than you're experiencing right now. If you let the fox in the hen house, that's the end. That's it. And I say that, Johnny, number three, they'll neither tokenize nor confiscate gold. And I explain my reasoning here. That's the gold revaluation video. I'll put a link to that below this video and at the end of this video. Any digitized currency means that government morons can literally manipulate and control and spy on you.
We must protect the position of the American dollar as a pillar of monetary stability around the world.
And help us promote the videos. We want to get a lot of engagement from you guys. That means commenting, clicking like, sharing the video, watching till the end, watching another one of our videos. I'm not trying to give you work to do. I'm saying if you want to support this channel so that we can give you even more, I got a lot of video ideas coming up and a lot of good ones that are going to help you. If you want that, you want more of that, then please help us engage with you, the viewer, so that YouTube algorithm thinks that you're enjoying yourself.